Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my favorites of 2025, which was a hard list to compile because I feel like I did not have a bad reading year, but I didn't have a great reading year. It could have been worse, it could have been better. We're kind of right in that middle, especially considering my life in 2025. And yeah, I made a top 11 with an honorable, top 10 with an honorable mention or two. But yeah, this was hard. Like, this was a really hard list for me. Because I read 160 some books, which we've talked about my stats for the year already, but I did check to see how many 6 stars and how many 5 stars I had. So I had 10 6 stars in 2025, which are like all-time favorites, and that was only 4% of my reads, and 3 of them were rereads. And then I had 17 5 stars, which was only also 10% of my reads in 2025. So that was kind of weird. I kind of thought that number was going to be a little higher than it was, but I did some soul searching and I picked 10 favorites in no particular order. I kept trying to order the list and honestly I didn't have a good order for you, so we're just gonna roll with what I have here and go in the order I wrote them down. And we will talk about my honorable mentions because I do think I have 2 of those because I did really enjoy them, but I don't know how much of that enjoyment relied on some other things happening. So let's dive in. First things first, so again, in no particular order, we're going to discuss these. We have Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. I marathoned this entire series for a Dice of Destiny video, and I had so much fun, but Gloves Off was like probably the one I was the most interested in the whole series. This is our like prickly heroine and a goalie hero who is nearing retirement age and very grumpy. And I love that combo. They both have a lot of preconceived notions about each other, and they have to work through those as they enter into this fake marriage to get him and his parents' residency in Canada. And in doing so, she also gets a thing she wants to help with her career in sports medicine stuff. And it was just both of them like discovering more things they didn't know about the other, which I thought was really beautiful and fun. I really enjoyed that element here. There's some great caretaking. There's just a lot of growth between the two of them, learning about each other and like these preconceived notions leaving, which I really enjoy because they're kind of enemies-ish. You do get a lot of setup for the enemiesness in the other books, so do keep that in mind, I guess. But I also just really enjoyed it. I don't know. I truly was surprised by this one at the end of the day. I think it was just a fantastic contemporary sports romance. Next, we have A Love Most Brutal, which is book 2 in the series by Kath Richards. And this series in general, I love. Book 1 is A Love Most Fatal. I also read that this year and loved it. But A Love Most Brutal, I loved even more because we have a nice age gap here, which I tend to enjoy. We have a hero who really desires her but does not think he is worthy of her. And we have a heroine who is a badass and wants to help her family get through and do whatever they need to do to survive. The Morelli Mafia group is led by her sister. So she is like the enforcer of the group, and it's her navigating that in this arranged marriage. And again, the two of them finding their way to be together and why they actually like each other, that this whole situation is not a terrible thing. So freaking loved that. It was so good. It was one of those things where I feel like I, at one point, read a ton of Mafia books all the time, right? And they got very, like, samey. And this series has stood out as not samey and doing a really good job at differentiating and being different, but without being, like, a try hard to be different, if that makes sense. Like, it just, Kath had a different idea and has really ran with that idea, and I love it for us as the reader. It's so fun. Then we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sanju Mandani. We waited forever for this because it got pushed back, which is okay. It's not the end of the world, but it did get pushed back, right? So we had to wait a while. Because of that wait, I was nervous when this came out, but this is my kind of cozy fantasy situation, and it makes me want to try other cozy fantasy situations, but I never trust myself to pick them. So who knows? I've got a handful on my shelves, a handful I'd like to read this year. We'll see what happens. But this also had enough romance plotline to still be a romance and not just a cozy fantasy, which helped. This follows a girl who's living in a house that's basically cursed, and she's basically been cursed. She can't really use her magic anymore, and it's her trying to figure out how to get that back and what she needs to do, as well as a hero with a autistic little sister who is basically having to be kept away from people extensively because she's unable to hide her magic, so she can't like be in the broader public. And it's his relationship with like his parents and navigating that and like trying to take care of his little sister and do right by her, and this magnificent found family element while we solve a bit of a mystery situation. So all around, it just has like so many good things to it that really paid off and were fantastic to me and well worth the wait. Then we have Demon's Dream. This might be a surprise to some. This is by L. Kaysen. This is a very long dark romance, okay? I don't lightly recommend this to people. I don't think this is going to work for a lot of people, but it is wild and you are going to go on a ride, okay? And I loved that ride, which is why it is on this list, because we follow a demon, Dream. We follow their relationship, and then we follow Dream's sister and another person's relationship the demon is like friends with. Anyways, this has a lot of content. It's also, I'm going to tell you that before you dive in, but I really had fun with this. I walked away with this being one of the most unique reads I had last year. I am mad at myself for how long I put it off for, kind of, but not, because like I kind of read it at the perfect time for me, and I was able to just read the book very quickly. It may be over 700 pages, but you will somehow read it in a 24-hour time span for the most part. It's very readable. It's very dramatic and over the top also. I do need to note that it is very dramatic and over the top. That is like kind of the core thing of this book. And because of that, you are really just like on a journey with Demon and Dream and their relationship and the politics in the world, because this definitely has like a bit of an undertone around that, like underground politics stuff. And yeah, I don't know how to tell you if you should read Demon's Dream or not, because it's definitely not going to work for some people. Some people are going to be mad the whole time they read it, but some people are going to be like me, and you're just like, I'm here and I'm on this ride and I'm not getting off until I finish the book. And that is exactly what happened. So I had to put it on the list. Next, we have Desire in His Blood by Zoe Draven. This is one that has been on and off my TBR for years, I feel like. And so many people I know are like, this is my slump buster. I love Zoe. I love these books. And I was like, okay, we're going to do it. It's alien vampires. I was like, I don't know if that's like too much happening. You know, sometimes it's too much. No, I loved this. Our heroine is trying to save her family from the issues her father has created. Enters into this arranged marriage. There's a lot of misunderstanding around her knowledge of what her dad did and all that, and a lot of the book is her working through finding that out, and the hero and her working through it. He's not the nicest to her in the beginning. I do need you to know that, but I really, really liked overall the setup of this and how basically everything played out at the end of the day, because it was really, really fun and it was really enjoyable and it was really unique. Yeah, I personally think that Desire in His Blood was like a setup for a world and a thing happening, and also like that I didn't expect. Plus, I felt like her dad and the people involved in the thing, I don't want to spoil the thing that it is, got the right punishment at the end of this book, which isn't something we get a lot, in my opinion. I don't think we get it enough, to be honest with you. So yeah, I really, really liked that about this. I thought it was really nice to see it happen, to have it on page, to like have punishment rendered for these things, and her having to like also confront her sisters and be like, listen, y'all have been living in La La Land and you're not making it better, because like the family's basically going bankrupt, like they're going broke, and her sisters are like la 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 la. So it's so good. Great family dynamics, and then great like just general dynamics around that entire situation of what's happening. I'm just going to include a whole series here because I read basically the entire series last year. Oh no, I did read the entire series last year. And we are current, and we will be live for the next book very soon. And that is The Firebird Chronicles by T.A. White. This was a fantastic surprise, in my opinion, of a read. I felt like this was like a Lona Andrews level for me as of a series. This is definitely a slow burn romance. There's not a ton happening here, okay? Like it's not like super explicit on page, but it is like a top tier series for me now. I am thrilled that I read it. I am so excited for the new book. Cannot wait. This follows our heroine, who is finding out a lot of things about herself throughout this entire series, because she's basically been lied to about who she is. Well, didn't really know, but basically a big war ended. Kira is a survivor of the war. She kind of left her troop behind in a weird way because some things happened, and she's kind of a bit of a salvager, they call it. So kind of Han Solo-esque. She basically sifts through wreckage and makes money by like bringing that into people who buy it. But her existence ends up being part of a peace treaty, and we have our hero. And I truly love every bit of this. The dynamic, everything happening. It gives a lot of Kate Daniels energy in the best way. Like, that is a compliment. That is like why I love this series. I know I've not finished Kate Daniels and I need to, but I've not really read other things that gave me that same energy as an Alona Andrews, and this does. And I felt like every book ended and I was just like, oh my god, I need more. And I'm so excited that we're getting more. I will likely reread this whole series at some point in time because I love it that much. It's so freaking good. Like, I actually pre-ordered the book that's coming out, the new one, and I don't usually pre-order ebooks, so there's that, and I'm probably adding them to my shelves at some point. Next we have Mate by Allie Hazelwood. This is the sequel to Bride. I loved this book. We follow Serena and Cohen, who Cohen has basically made a promise of celibacy to run this pack that had a lot of issues. And this one, I feel like we got a lot more world building and dynamics around his pack and what happened with them and stuff. And then Serena is just like not aware completely of her status, and lo and behold, she goes into heat, and we have to like make an agreement to bone, and then she has to give him back basically to the pack because that's part of the agreement. And it's their romance. It's like, it's very like, you're my wife and I'm not letting you escape energy, because like she tries to leave the cabin. He's like, do not frickin' leave this cabin. But he's also like, I can't have you, but I also desperately want you. So that is 100% like top tier energy for me, and I just really loved this. It gave a lot of things that I love in a paranormal. Also, it wasn't like too in-depth of a paranormal, which I think sometimes is nice. I don't always need a ton of world building and setup for my paranormals. Next, we have a Christmas book. This may surprise you, but A Man from Mrs. Claus by Rebecca Weatherspoon made this list because I was so surprised at this bachelor-style Mrs. Claus dating situation that we had going on here. I continued to think about it after I finished it, and like I was looking at my list and I was like, no, this should be on my list. This was so freaking good. It is such a fun, steamy little book. It is literally bachelor dating Mrs. Claus. She was an elf. She becomes Mrs. Claus. There's a whole story to it all. And in doing so, she has to find a Santa every time the old Santa leaves because he has found, he's been summoned by someone. And it's this really neat paranormal-y world situation that, like, the North Pole is a place, and like obviously Jesus is real, and like all these different groups are real and have different areas and places and things going on. And I just really loved all of that about this. It was so freaking good. Then we have Unromance by Erin Connor. This is my first read of 2025, and that says a lot that it made this list because I am really impressed by this as a debut. I have her next one that comes out to read for this year, and I'm really excited for it. But Unromance for me was a fantastic surprise because this is a thing that I don't normally love. It is a celebrity romance, celebrity contemporary romance. And I'm not always a big celebrity romance person, but she's an author. They have a really funny meet cute in the elevator, and they basically fake date to help her break her slump with her book that she's writing and fall in love in the process. And I just think it was so sweet and fun and cute. I loved it. I loved it so freaking much. I just think it was like a good time. So I'm very happy I read this. I think it's one of those ones that, like, if you're just looking for a contemporary that hits a lot of the romance tropes and spot with things, this is a great option to give a shot to because it was so good. I truly was shocked for a debut how good it was. And last but not least for our top 10 is Feeling the Heat, Part 1 and 2 by Emily Antoinette. This was a kind of surprise. I was looking at my list and I was like, what else? And I was debating between a couple of the Omega verses I read, but I think Feeling the Heat was kind of a favorite because we have a 40-year-old older awakening Omega and her pack. There is a lot of dynamics happening here as far as like one of them is who helps her during her heat at the clinic. One is the doctor at the clinic, and the other one is her boss at work, unfortunately. I do think there were like a smidge little, like there were a couple tiny issues in part 2 and some of that stuff, but overall, like as a whole story, I loved this book. It was the right balance of cozy to plot tension for me. So like it felt cozy for the most part, but it also had moments where I was like a little stressed. Just a little bit though. Not too stressed, just the right amount of stressed where I was like, oh, I can't wait to see how this unfolds. What's going to happen? Like that kind of stressed. So that was perfect for me. I also thought that all of the heroes were so different and unique, which I really enjoyed. And I just generally enjoyed all of the story as a whole. So it easily made this list. Now we have 2 honorable mentions for this list. I wasn't going to do 15 because that was too many books. At that point I was like, I should just tell you every 5 and 6 star I read. But honorable mentions are my reread, or three honorable mentions. We have to include my reread of Murderbot series. I got through like 3 books or so in my reread, 3 or 4. And then I took a break. I loved it. I continue to love Murderbot. I need to continue this year, and I will. I'm going to get current on the series this year is my plan. But I really had a good time rereading Murderbot, so that's an honorable mention. And then Heated Rivalry is going to be an honorable mention because I did read that this last year, and I had a blast with it. But I also don't know how much my love of the book is fueled by my love of the show as well. So it's kind of in that honorable spot because I'm like, I really, really liked this, but also I really, really liked this because I liked the show a lot, and like the tandemness of it increased the enjoyment, but it still was a fantastic read. And then the last honorable mention is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I know a lot of people didn't like this, and I understand why, because I do agree, like, it was completely mismarketed, and I read it before release, so that does not help on the mismarketing, because I had read it, so like I didn't get a lot of the mismarketing. But a lot of people were talking about the dom sub dynamics in this, and like, that's not it. It's really about 2 people who want to explore kink but are in college and young and not really there yet. And I loved that presentation of kink, if that makes sense, in a lot of ways. And I just really had a good time with this. It was fantastic, and it just kind of cemented Allie as like an author I'm always going to pick up for now. She's a lot of people's intros to romance, and I'm not mad about it at the end of the day. But that is my favorites of 2025 and some honorable mentions. Let me know your favorites down below. I would love to know if I should add any of them to my TBR. Do we have any crossover? If you don't do any of that, you can leave a star emoji because these are favorites, so star emojis make sense. You can do that down below. I will have links to everything I read down there for you, links to my friend anywhere on the internet that I am, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited